You guys ever embarked on a project that was just a little bit more than you could chew? You actually took that bite and it was just a little bit bigger than you thought it would be. That's how I feel about this Turbo Busa. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to a special episode of Yami Noob. Today we are going to be going over all of the motorcycles we rode in 2021, going over our favorites, our least favorites, most interesting, most quirky, and some other categories as well. It's gonna be a great video. We actually rode a ton of bikes this year, didn't we?
57 different motorcycles.
So you guys, next time you tell us in the comments, we don't know what we're talking about. We rode 57 different bikes this year and made videos about them. How many did you ride this year? Spite, maybe you could do the folks at home a favor and try to read them all out.
All right, let's do this nice and quick. Starting with the Aprilias, RS660, RSV4, Double R. We have the Tuono 660, the Tuono V4 1100 factory, the RSV4 1100 factory. Now moving on to BMW, the 850 GS, the R1250 GS, and the R9T. We had the KALK and...
Terrible name.
From Ducati, we had the Multistrada V4S, your Desert Sled, the Scrambler Icon, and now the 1098. Such a nice bike. From Harley-Davidson, we had the Pan America, the SPORTGLIDE, Sportster 1275, and the Sportster S. Actually, kind of a lot from Harley. And similarly from Honda, the CB900F Hentai Hornet made an appearance. CBR 1000 Double R, CBR 1000 Triple R SP Fireblade, and the CBR 500R. A lot of CBRs. We also had the Rebel 1100. We have the Svartpilen 701, which we rode from Husqvarna. From Indian, we had the Chief. We had the FTR 1200S, the FTR 1200 Carbon, and the Indian Scout. Lots of Kawasaki's, Ninja 650, Vulcan 650, Z650, and then the ZH2. Some chaotic energy there.
Yeah.
KTM, we rode my SMCR, the 690, the 790 Adventure, and the SUPERDUKE 1290. We had two MVs, the Dragster 800 RC and the Turismo 800 Lusso. We had the Royal Enfield Continental GT 650.
The heat death of the universe is upon us.
Suzuki DRZ 400 SM, GS 1100E, GSX 250R, and GSX-S 1000. Then, of course, we rode the Gen 3 Hayabusa, which that was a lot of fun. There's also a super secret Suzuki that I'm not allowed to talk about.
You guys know it. Just hit subscribe, for the love of God. You know what it is. We have both ridden it now, and I wish I could show you, but I can't.
Then we have, you rode your race bike, the 675, of course. We had the Street Scrambler, which I honestly forgot about, but it's such a sweetheart. The Triumph Tiger 850 Sport, the Trident 660. Then we had a weird one out of nowhere, the Ural Gear Up. And then our most ridden manufacturer of the year, Yamaha.
Oh no, the comments, no.
MT-09, XSR 900, R6, R7, Starbolt, Tenere 700, WR250R, and then we had the Zero SRF. That's all the bikes we've ridden for production this year.
There are a couple other bikes we've also ridden off camera that we won't get into as well. I rode a ZX6 on track one time. I think you probably rode a buddy's bike or something like that. You know, some other bikes that we don't talk about on the channel. But now let's get into what our favorites were and our least favorites this year. All right, folks, before we get into our favorites and least favorite bikes of the year, we did want to take a moment to shout out our website, yammynoob.co. They're a huge reason all the folks on there support us and allow all these shenanigans to happen, the daily content, the giveaway bikes, all the amazing stuff we do here on the channel. So thank you to everyone who supports us over there. And if you want a chance to win some of our bikes, sign up down below, hit the link to yammynoob.co, become a member, join the Discord. It's a great way to become a more imbued part of the community. And again, we could not thank the support of our members enough. Without further ado, Spite, let's talk about our favorite bikes of the year.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
So my first least favorite, I suppose, number 5 for me, was the CBR 1000 RR that we rode. That was my favorite leader bike that we've ridden all year. That one was a ton of fun. It was comfortable. It was just a fun motorcycle.
I got to agree. The CBR, that was a good bike. Solid bike.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not a significant enough downgrade from the 1000 RRR where I'm like, oh, it's kind of old and busted. No, it just felt great. It was a ton of fun, and it was comfortable. That was a big thing.
My number 5 would be the Street Scrambler, the Triumph. Blew me away. Such a sweetheart, such a nice motorcycle, something you could ride every day, all the time. A lot of pizzazz, a lot of charm. Can even tackle a little fire road too. I really like the bike.
And it was so nice when we got an exhaust on there and you could start hearing it.
Yeah.
Man alive, was that a fun
When we got that side bag and the exhaust, I was like, I get it. I get it. This is sweet.
Oh, because we had that, I forgot, we had the one little side bag.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so cool.
Like the day bag, yeah.
Total hipster mode. That was awesome. So my number 4 bike is the MV AGUSTA Dragster 800 RC.
Nice.
That was awesome. It was so cool. Like, I thought it was just going to be like, you know, MT-09 plus a little bit. Oh,
yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, that bike really blew us away whenever it waffle stomped Gen 3 Hayabusa. And then we ran the numbers, we're like, wait, this thing's ridiculous. It weighs nothing, it makes a crap load of horsepower. Yeah, awesome motorcycle.
And it's got one of the best up and down quick shifters I've felt all year.
Yeah. For me, my number 4 is the WR250, a bike I loved so much that I had to keep as one of our giveaway bikes, that I promptly got it and looped it first thing when I got it. It's a bike that elicits so much bad behavior. It's a riot to ride. I still have it. I've got about 1,200 miles on it now. Love the thing. Love it. Yeah.
So for me, the WR is an interesting thing because I get why you love it so much. But I have the DRZ and it's just got a little bit more punch.
Yeah, you're a bigger guy than me too, so the WR would be a bit rough. Yeah, if you're, you know, you weigh what, like 80 pounds more than me, 70, something like that. Yeah, that's a big margin.
But I do get why you love the WR so much. For me, number 3 is going to be a bit contentious with you because I know it's going to stack real high up on your list.
Yeah.
It's the ZH2.
Yep.
The ZH2 was unbelievable. It was so chaotic and so angry and visceral.
Yeah.
That it was just...
Dude, once we got the pipe on that thing, man, it was game over for me. Yeah, the ZH2 ranks high on my list. We'll get to that.
But yeah, I just wrote some other stuff that really revved my heart, as Yamaha would say.
Ah, nice. The Yamaha simp comments are now coming. My number 3 bike is actually this one right here, the 1098. Holy crap. This thing, it's so animalistic, it's so visceral, it's so muscly, it's comfortable, which is weird. On track, it's just sublime. Yeah, leader bikes peaked in the mid-2000s. You don't need to look any further than that. This bike's amazing. And it still looks so cool all these years later.
That one was a really hard runner-up for the CBR 1000 for me, because this, again, is super duper comfortable for me. And you ride it and feel like a movie star. Yeah. But something about that Honda just tugged at my heartstrings. I guess it's the old Honda inline 4 part of me that I can't get rid of.
I just love this bike. You start it up, it says SBK.
Yeah.
You're like, hell yeah, I'm on a super bike. What was your second favorite bike of the year?
Harley Davidson Pan America, baby. I adored that motorcycle. Wow. It's so much fun, and it's such a breath of fresh air from Harley Davidson. I think both the Pan America and the Sportster, to a slightly lesser extent, represent a big positive change for that company.
Yeah.
And it's a company that I hold in high regard, but I also will just absolutely ream them when they misstep, in my opinion. So it's a great thing for them to be doing something new. And I mean, they topped the sales charts. I think they're still the #1 selling adventure bike in North America, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, I hope they take that data and try some newer stuff, you
Yeah.
know? I still haven't ridden a Pan Am. You've ridden it twice now.
Yep.
I have not ridden one yet. I really want to, because Spite is always singing its praises here at the shop. We may have one later in 2022, maybe early part of 2022 as a demo bike. We don't know yet, but then I will definitely get my hands and try it out. My #2 bike was the RS660. I was blown away by this motorcycle. It was such a breath of fresh air in the sport bike market. I have genuinely never ridden a motorcycle quite like the RS660 and still haven't. Notice that the R7 has not been on this list anywhere because the RS660 is way better. Yeah, it was good on track, it was good on road, it's comfortable, it makes a great sound, you can put luggage on it. What's not to like about the R660? Up and down quick shifter,
Yeah.
Awesome motorcycle.
It's such a sweet ride, especially for a daily rider who wants a
dude.
sport bike look. I did my living with it, and I really grew to love it. And again, the sound is just to die for on
Yeah.
that motorcycle.
Barky and grunty. Yeah, RS is a cool bike.
I need to get a leg over the Tuono 660 because I think that one would have
one's
ranked
great.
real high
Yeah.
for me. But my #1 pick
What's your
of
pick?
all the bikes that we've ridden this year goes to the 2015 KTM SUPERDUKE 1290.
He loves the bike.
Oh
ATM
man,
guy.
it's so brutal. It's so raw. It's so angry.
Yeah.
I like close my eyes and have dreams of the SUPERDUKE. It's so cool.
I have mine with my #1 pick too, yeah. The SUPERDUKE's a really cool bike, man. Especially that 2015, it's angry, it's so raw. That's the vintage to get, for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't have all the tack on there, but
Nah.
it still has your heated grips and
got
a
an
little
analog
bit of
tack.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
God, the sound is so good.
Gotta love the analog tack. SUPERDUKE's a cool bike. My #1 bike of the year, and should come as no surprise, is the Kawasaki ZH2. I still think about the ZH2 most weeks. I miss that bike a ton, especially after we did the whole Brock's treatment on it. Man, I took that bike home several times, which I
Yep.
don't do with the giveaway bikes. I normally keep them here at the shop, but that was a bike that just blew me away with how much fun it was to ride. Nothing mattered when you're on that thing. You just twist the throttle and just start giggling as it just lifts and you fight it. And it was so comfortable, so all-day usable, cruise control, up and down quick shifter. And so if anyone ever tells me that I don't like Kawasaki's, please point them to this video where my #1 pick of 2021 was a Kawasaki. Very, very cool motorcycle. Yeah, #1 pick.
I think the ZH2 was interesting because it was one of the first bikes this year where we had to go get the first service done before we gave it away.
Yeah.
Because everybody in the shop loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, Whitney loved it, you loved it, Josh loved it. It was just a total crowd pleaser.
And it's funny because when I got it, I was like, well, let's see how this goes. You know, I had no expectations for the bike, and boy, it just grew on me so much. I was like, wow, this is an awesome motorcycle. It's so powerful. Like, the torque it makes from down low, holy crap, that's a great bike.
Like 106 foot-pounds or something like that.
Yeah, just the way it ripped. Oh, really, really cool motorcycle. But now we have to get into our least favorite bikes of the year. Not as fun of a conversation. We're gonna break some hearts in the comments section. Spite, what was your, I guess, least favorite bike, starting from #5?
So my #5 least favorite bike, this is the other side of the Harley coin where I'm gonna roast them for something I don't like, was the SPORTGLIDE. Okay, so in the video, I enjoyed the SPORTGLIDE for what it was, but I have to look at it as a holistic machine.
Yeah.
And it was kind of underwhelming. I had fun on it and I could appreciate it, but it wasn't a good bike. And it's a bummer because it looks so cool, but everything else just was like, not quite there. So
Yeah.
it arrives at the top of the bottom of my list here.
Yep. SPORTGLIDE is also in my list, but it's further up, unfortunately. My least favorite bike, #5 here, is the Z650. This is now, it's funny how a Cowie made the top of the list and now we have a Cowie at the bottom of the list, but I just do not like that 650 lawnmower engine they've got in that bike. The handlebars were really tight and close together. The ergonomics were weird on that bike. I mean, you ride that next to an MT-07, it's MT-07 any day of the week.
And it had that, it had the TFT dash, but everything else about it just felt cheap.
Yeah.
And unsubstantial. Like, it all felt like it was stamped out of just cheap metal.
Yeah, it had a weird amount of plastic for a naked bike too. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't really vibe with the Z650 very much, as you guys know.
We really tried with that one too. We put a lot of mods on it.
We really tried, yeah. It didn't happen. What's your fourth least favorite?
Gixxer 250.
Oh,
so
the humble Gixxer. That's also on my list.
The Gixxer 250 was a bike for me that I could have rated a little bit higher, but there were some other bikes that irked me just way more. The Gixxer is just like laughable in its badness.
Yeah.
So, and you know, we eventually turned it into the abomination that's sitting out
now
in the
it's
other room.
hilarious. Now it crushes hill climbs.
So it redeemed itself a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's still just an abysmal piece of garbage.
Yeah, it really sunk in for me because we bought it bone stock, brand new, if you guys can believe it. I literally with the dealership, 0 miles.
It's got like 600
It's
now.
got 600 miles, yeah. And that bike, you know, once I took it on track, I was like, no, this thing is so miserable, and you can't fix it. You know, it's a miserable, unfixable piece of crap. So yeah, but my number 4, it was not the Gixxer. It's actually the KALK Ant. That's my number 4 pick for least favorite. The price is insane on that thing. The value you're getting is non-existent because you're getting a bunch of mountain bike parts on something that's $14,000, gets barely any range, and is at most as like a pit bike playful thing. Did not vibe with the cake.
Yeah, that one's actually higher up on my list. I did not enjoy our day with it.
No.
The most fun we had was when we were just goofing around, popping wheelies on the sidewalk. Everything else was like, am I gonna have to push it from Auditorium Shores up the hill to the Revival Shop to give it back when we're done with the rental?
Yeah.
It was not a fun experience. It was really uncomfortable, and it's 14 grand.
Ridiculous, ridiculous. What was your number 3 pick?
Number 3 for me goes to the CBR 500R. That one is worse to me than the Gixxer 250 because it tries.
Yes.
The Gixxer 250 just, like Suzuki didn't care. They just kind of farted it out and see what was gonna stick. But Honda tried with CBR 500, and they charge more than the competition for a bike that's heavier and makes the same power, and it's just this
way heavier. It weighs
so,
what, 440?
Yeah, and the Ninja's
360.
360.
Yeah, you really feel it. The Ninja's playful. The 400 is an awesome little bike. The 500 is.
And they make the same power, and the Honda's lazy, and the suspension is wallowy.
The gears are long for no reason.
It's a miserable experience. I really did not enjoy my time with that Honda.
The CBR is on my list too, but I will reserve what I'm going to say about it. Number 3 for me is the SPORTGLIDE. Wow, what an uninspiring, stupid bike. I did not like my day with it at all, not even a little bit. And now that we're not making the video, I don't have to mince words anymore, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, jumping from the Rebel to the SPORTGLIDE was like a joke. I was like, why would you ever want this thing? And I was trying so hard to understand who the bike is for, why they would get it. It just was not clicking for me. I did not get the SPORTGLIDE at all.
Unfortunately, the one we got was the runt of the litter from Harley. Even
it wasn't a real bike. It didn't have the engine.
Even the Harley guys clown on the SPORTGLIDE because it only comes in the 107 and you can't get it in the 114 Screaming Eagle, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a bit of a bummer.
What was your second least favorite bike?
The KALK Ant.
Yeah.
That one just was such a horrific value prop.
Yeah.
For what it was,
that
I found it offensive for how
honestly, it's offensively priced.
Yeah. So I could not accept any part of it. I was not enjoying that experience. So number 2.
For me, my number 2 is the GSX 250R. I think that was my second least favorite bike. And a lot of you might say, well, but you've done all this stuff to the bike and blah, blah, blah. Bone stock when we got that bike We bought it as a joke because it is a joke. It's so bad, dude. Like, it has no power. It's heavy as hell. It doesn't do anything well at all. It's laughable compared to the competition. And I took it on track, and like I said, it's just cemented to me that it's a useless motorcycle, basically. So yeah, that's my number 2.
I can have stupid fun, but I didn't buy it, so I just have to borrow the keys and ride it as a punishment.
Yeah, I cut the check for it, so I have to sit there and be like, why would you ever spend money on this? But now it's hilarious and a living meme. Yep. What is your least favorite bike of the year?
The least favorite bike goes to one I completely forgot that we rented, and it was the Yamaha Star Bolt. The Sportster you have at home. The Sportster's already kind of a bad motorcycle, but I can appreciate its badness. The Yamaha Star Bolt is just a horrific knockoff.
Yeah.
It has none of the character of the Sportster. It has all of the problems, and it felt even slower. It was a miserable day riding that thing around.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the owner sends me a text. It's like, hey, yeah, I want to make sure you're having all the, as much fun as you can on the bike, all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm gonna give it back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah.
There are some bikes that we rent, and I'm like, this was really cool. The RSV4 RR, which didn't make it into the full video.
The sound.
Oh man, that was so cool.
Yeah.
And to think that I also rented the Yamaha, and I was like, oof.
Yeah.
That was rough. So that one is my least favorite motorcycle I've ridden all year long.
That's fair. My least favorite motorcycle that I have ridden all year long, you guys aren't gonna like me for saying this, is the Honda CBR 500R. I know, you're gonna sit in the comments, but it's a great bike, it's an entry-level bike. I have never ridden something so uninspiring, so uninteresting, so lazy, so heavy, and so insanely priced compared to the competition. That bike was $72.99, I think?
Yeah.
It was over $7,000 MSRP. You're looking at a bike that's almost $8,000 out the door, when you can buy a Ninja 400 for like $5,000, and it's better in almost every single way.
Yep.
There's a reason you don't see anybody racing these CBR 500s. There's a reason you don't see them at drag days. You don't see them doing anything other than being little mules that people use for 6 months and then moving on to something else. Disposable, uninteresting, uninspiring. I hated the CBR 500R. and it was hard bringing myself to make videos about it.
Yes.
Like, I'd be like, I don't want to ride this bike, man. Mm-hmm. It really felt like work with that bike. Most days here, 95% of the time, this doesn't feel like work. The CBR felt like work. Yeah.
It was like an empty room painted eggshell with that thing. It
was rough.
It was literally just
rough.
elevator music as a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Sad, and it was a bummer.
Yeah.
It was definitely a bummer.
Let's move away from such a depressing motorcycle and let's talk about our other categories. So we have biggest letdown.
Ooh, okay. Biggest letdown is going to make a lot of people sad when I say it. Triumph Trident 660.
Kind of a surprising opinion, but
yeah. I did not enjoy my time with that motorcycle. I was really expecting it to be this fun, characterful, well-built thing, and it just felt like at every corner they cut something. Mm-hmm. It didn't have the intake sound. It didn't have, you couldn't really even hear the exhaust. It was so corked up. The throttle was really weird. It felt like it should have had cruise control, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And the people in the comments with the 600-mile myth on it. Oh my God.
Yeah, everyone says that after 600 miles it becomes a street triple. I'm like, it doesn't evolve like a Pokemon, Like, guys, come on, let's be real here. That's not gonna happen.
But how about you? What was your biggest letdown of the year?
For me, it was the BMW R1250 GS. Everyone has touted that bike to me as this golden standard, amazing thing. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I didn't really get it. I rode it in Utah a whole bunch. It felt like this super lumbering, heavy thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a huge adventure guy myself anyways, right? I'm sure that for some people the R1250 makes a bunch of sense, but I just felt like, with a giant gas tank and all this stuff, I don't know, man, it really wasn't what I thought it would be. Kind of a letdown.
Yeah, it really does feel like the R1250 has sacrificed a lot of its soul for the adventure touring versus the actual adventure side of things. That's why I like the Pan America so much.
He's got a whole video coming out about that. Next category is most quirky.
Ooh, okay, so most quirky for me was the Ural Gear Up.
Same.
That one was just so off the wall. That bike was is it a bike? Is it
has 3 wheels. It's a sidecar. It's a different thing.
I mean, it was really fun to figure out and spend time with.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, there's a penny in the road. Do I need to avoid it? No, I'm gonna roll over it. I mean, it just threw a tank slammer.
Yeah. Let me take this corner. Just trying to muscle it through a line, and it doesn't hold a line no matter what you do.
Do you remember the transmission feel on it? Where everything, you just ground gears constantly?
Yeah. It was a very quirky experience. But at the end of the day, we were both like, maybe we should get a Ural for the shop.
Yeah.
That could be kind of cool.
The support Ural.
The support Ural, yeah. Whitney wanted one to have as a camera crew vehicle, basically. I could still make a lot of cases for it, honestly. Camera follow car, all kinds of stuff. Could be pretty cool.
Tracking shots out of the Ural.
Yeah. I now have the category most forgettable motorcycle. What was your most forgettable bike of the year?
This one is also going to make some people angry. The most forgettable motorcycle for me was the Indian Chief. So I rode the Indian Chief at Get On Moto Fest, which a lot of people are going to be like, you got to take it for a real test ride. But I really wound it out. I felt it through some corners, and I was having a good time on it. And then I gave the keys back to the guys at Indian, at their truck, and then I forgot that I rode it.
Yeah.
It was so meh when I left that I was like, yeah, I had a good time. Maybe we should get one for the channel if it'll do well. You know, I can make the case for it as a cruiser, but then I walked away and I was like, I don't need to ride it again.
Yeah.
So, most forgetful, Indian Chief.
Yep. For me, the most forgettable was the Triumph Trident. I actually literally forgot it was in here a lot of times. I'd come into the shop, I'd open the doors, be like, oh yeah, we have the Trident in here. We can take that out. We can do a video with that. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I wanted to like it. You guys know I'm a pretty big Triumph guy, but it is lacking a lot, in my opinion, to make it really interesting and rememberable and cool. So for me, the Trident was a little bit forgettable. Our next category is most surprising bike of the year.
The Harley 1275 Sportster with the hammer kit. So
good answer.
We had that bike for a long time, and then we had to put the engine on it. We rode it around as an 883, and as an 883, it's unique. It's got this heritage, blah blah blah, but it's slow and it doesn't handle all that great, and it's a little uninspiring when you get on the gas.
It sucks ass.
He says the real words that I'm too afraid to say. But then we put the hammer kit on, and holy cow!
Yeah.
When you get on a Sportster that's making, ours was making like 90 horsepower and 78 foot-pounds of torque, and it revs out to 8,000 RPM.
Yeah.
It's unreal what that feels like.
And I think a lot of people hear those numbers and they say, well, that's pathetic. It's not that much power. But it's where the power is being made and what kind of bike you're on.
Yeah.
It's on these skinny little tires on this weird frame. It felt ridiculously overpowered. It felt like a death trap.
Yeah.
It was really scary to ride.
And then you just sat there at idle and it just made these angry noises.
Yeah.
It was so brutal. It was and we built it. You know?
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was cool.
So that one was my biggest surprise.
Yeah. For me, the most surprising was the Royal Enfield Continental GT. As much as I hate to admit it, I was very surprised by that bike. I thought it was going to be a total garbage piece of crap motorcycle, and there were parts of it that were a total garbage piece of crap. But the sum total of those parts pulled together a motorcycle that was fun and interesting to ride and was pretty cool. Like,
yeah.
And it was so cheap. Like, I love that about it. You know, it's a cheap bike you can get into, enjoy it, looks great. People thought it cost $25,000 on the side of the road, so clearly it has curb appeal. Yeah, very surprising on the Royal Enfield GT.
Yeah, it was a cool day. It was not what I expected, and it had a little bit of that Iron 883 character to it when I was riding it around. And I was like,
it's an old bike.
I can understand why people like it. It's not for me, but not as bad as we say, but not as good as everyone says it is.
Definitely, yeah. We're now going to move on to our category of our favorite video we made this year. We're each going to pick a video that we thought was the most fun or our favorite one that we made. So what was your favorite video that we made this year?
The drag strip video.
That was very cool.
For sure. The drag strip video because, it was fun to go out and rip these bikes as fast as we could. and B, it yielded some really surprising results, namely that this is one of the fastest bikes that we had in the shop. It was going toe-to-toe with that Ducati there. And I mean, it's always fun to get in the leathers and go do some silly stuff every now and again.
Hey, we don't need to know what you do on weekends, Dwight. Got him! My favorite video, it's a toss-up for me. There's two that I have. The hipster video we did recently was a ton of fun. It didn't get that many views, but the ones that I love most never do anyways. But that one was hilarious. We had so many good gags in there, and with costumes and the rap. It was a great production day. But I really think my favorite video, other than the drag one, because I also love that day, was the ZH2 exhaust install. The energy was awesome that day. We blasted back the Monster Energies, and we're both just like puking after drinking it, because we don't drink stuff like that. And the bike had such a massive transformation.
Yeah.
There's also the infamous clip now of me where I basically disassembled the entire air box.
Yep.
And then I was like, all you needed to do was slide out the filter. And I was like, where's the filter? And I'm at the throttle bodies, and I'm like, oh, it's a plenum. Oh, it's all sealed because it's boosted. I'm like, I'm an idiot. So that was fun, but the bike just went through a massive transformation. That's really what caused me to just massively fall in love with the bike. That was gotta be one of my favorite days.
The Kyle energy in that video was just off the charts. I knew we were getting in for some silly stuff because it was Brox, and we have the Brox memes about the Turbo Busas, and the guys sent us all that stuff. And then we got a message back being like, that video was awesome. So even they loved it.
Yeah, they loved it, and it fits so well with what they do, and that was a ton of fun. Our last category for today is our favorite experience of the year. This could be any ride we took or anything we did. So Spite, what was your favorite experience of the year?
It's a toss-up for me between our adventure trip to Utah. That was absolutely beautiful stuff that we were riding through. It was so cool. We got to go out to the Grand Canyon on these big bikes. We actually did the stuff that BMW riders keep saying that they're gonna do. It was a really special experience. There were times when I was just in my helmet. I had some music going while we were just cruising through these hills. And it was serene, it was pretty, and I might not have enjoyed the BMW as much as I liked the Pan America, but I was still having a lot of fun. Yeah. And then the other one that I did was what I just got back from, was the training day with the Pan America in California, which, I mean, it was just so much fun to actually go and learn some skills that I can use on these big bikes. Because I really find riding big, stupid motorcycles where they're not really meant to be is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
And that I really like the just fun, big adventure vibe. So both of those are really tied for me. How about you?
Well, I was gonna say, I think your Utah trip really solidified your love for adventure bikes, and then you did the Pan Am thing, and now it's like it's a
foregone conclusion.
Yeah, you're gonna be an adventure guy soon enough. And yeah, the Utah trip was super cool. Like, we rented out that Airbnb and had the whole team stay there too. We all we almost missed our flight on the way back. It was good team building. It was really fun.
Josh and I shared a bunk bed.
Yeah. And since I booked the B&B, I was like, I'm gonna take the master suite because I paid for everything. So I'll see you guys later. Had my own ensuite bathroom. My food did show up later though, which sucked. But my favorite experience of the year, it's one moment. It was probably a 2 or 3 second moment. It was when I first took the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. For me, that was my favorite moment of the year. Legendary racetrack. I had never been there before, and nothing can prepare you for that first stomach about to come out of your mouth feeling when you go left, right, and it goes whoop, and everything falls away from you. And then you think about all the videos you've seen of Stoner and Rossi taking those corners, and you're like, how the did they do that? How does anybody ride this racetrack at race pace? Yeah, it was a wet, misty day, cold day, and I was on a 217 horsepower bike, so I really didn't get the chance to really feel out the track very much.
I mean, that Laguna Seca corkscrew is just such a legendary fixture in racing that even I, having only started watching GP, know about that corkscrew.
Yeah.
And I've gone down it in video games and stuff, but would have been so cool to actually ride down that thing.
Nothing prepares you for that elevation change. And also you remember when Rossi took it on the dirt to cut Stoner, you're just like, dude, how? How?
He's just a maniac.
Yeah, you gotta be a maniac to do that. But that's our 2021. We are looking forward to 2022. We've got lots of cool stuff already planned and cooking up. And maybe by the time this video comes out, we've already released the Turbo Hayabusa content, but who knows? If you haven't yet, hit subscribe because I really want to put a bow on 2021 and reveal this Turbo Hayabusa and hit 1 million subscribers. It would be very, very cool if you guys could do that for us. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later. Well, 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 my little squid, you've made it to the end of yet another Yami Noob video. Thank you so much for watching. Just for you, got a little treat for you right over here. Brand new video for you. You can watch it, check it out. There's probably some squidding, some street riding, maybe some track riding. Maybe I'm binning my Ducati off-road. Who knows what's going on in that video? You should probably click on it and find out.